Emert International proudly presents the trucking job of the year below 160,000 pounds for the Specialized Carriers and Rigging Association. Emert International was contracted by an international freight forwarder to transport 3 components from a decommissioned liquid oxygen plant in Sulphur, Louisiana to the SpaceX launch facility in Boca Chica, Texas. The 3 main units consisted of the argon package, column package, and the PHX package. Each of the items were to be refurbished and then utilized to generate liquid oxygen fuel for the SpaceX Starship program. To determine if the movement of the 3 components were feasible, the client contacted Emert International and provided dimensions and weight for each of the 3 items to perform a route study as follows. The argon package was 78 feet 5 inches long by 15 feet 6 inches wide by 10 feet 7 inches high and weighed 48,079 pounds. The column package was 114 feet 6 inches long by 17 feet wide by 14 feet 3 inches high and weighed 146,673 pounds. The PHX package was 48 feet 5 inches long by 14 feet 4 inches wide by 16 feet 4 inches high and weighed 118,257 pounds. Based on the dimensions and weight, Emert International's engineering and operation teams commenced with a thorough review of the project in order to optimize the transport process. Several over-dimensional routes were suggested. However, the Emert team needed to first identify the trailer configurations in order to keep the overall height of the equipment to a minimum and, at the same time, achieve the axle loadings necessary to meet the pavement and bridge department approval for both the state of Louisiana and the state of Texas. After a preliminary review, it was deemed that the trailer configurations would need a weight distribution system to spread the heavy load evenly on the transport trailer of choice. Once the transport trailer configurations were selected and verified for the loads, it was time to begin the route studies based on the final transport configurations of all 3 loads. For the argon package, Emert International selected a low-profile, stretch, single-drop trailer. Gross dimensions were 114 feet 3 inches long by 15 feet 6 inches wide by 13 feet 1 inch high, with a gross weight of 100,927 pounds. For the column package, the Emert team selected a 14-axle trailer configuration that consisted of a 6-axle steerable dolly in the rear of the load and a 4-axle Jeep that was attached to a 4-axle tractor at the front of the load. The loaded dimensions were 150 feet long by 17 feet wide by 18 feet 3 inches high, with a gross weight of 223,034 pounds. For the PHX package, the Emert team determined the transport height could be minimized by nesting the unit within a 19-axle perimeter frame trailer. The loaded dimensions were 198 feet long by 16 feet 8 inches wide and a travel height of 17 feet 9 inches. The gross weight was 377,467 pounds. Now that the trailer configurations had been identified, Emert International started a series of meetings with the Louisiana and Texas Motor Carrier Division to review potential routing. Because of the bridge loadings and road construction, several route changes occurred. With each change, Emert International worked diligently and in a timely manner to physically review the proposed changes and accept them or add an alternate route request. Emert International stayed in close contact with the client and the delivery site to assure them the project was being worked on in an expedited fashion. After inspecting over 1,700 miles of roadway and analyzing the 4th required reroute, a challenging but passable route was selected for the column and PHX packages. For the Argonne package, the Louisiana route was 22.9 miles, and the Texas portion of the route was 490 miles. Since this was the smallest of the three components, Emmert International was able to identify a shorter route and minimize the mileage relative to the other two units. Although Emmert International moved the Argonne package mostly on the interstate, the trailer configuration did manage to accommodate several detours along the route. The column and the PHX columns were permitted on the same route. The Louisiana portion of the route was 83.8 miles, and the Texas portion of the route was 858.7 miles. Upon requisition of the transport permits, Emmert International dispatched personnel and equipment to the loadout site. Since cranes were being rented by the customer to load out the three components, Emmert International was asked to mobilize all three trailer configurations at the same time in order to minimize the cost. Emmert gladly complied with the request, and upon mobilizing all three trailers to the site, a seamless loadout effort ensued. In order to properly secure the PHX package per Federal Motor Carrier guidelines, Emmert International engineered a lashing plan that would require installation of additional D-rings at the base of the unit. Once the client reviewed and approved the lashing plan, Emmert International installed the D-rings along the side of the PHX package. After lashing the components, Emmert commenced with the moves. Emmert International was able to contend with low-hanging railroad arms in Delinquency, Louisiana, and a multitude of narrow two-lane roads. In addition, Emmert International notified the railroad companies to coordinate and maneuver over 40 railroad track crossings. Given the loaded height of the column package and the PHX package, bucket trucks were required to travel with the convoy in order to lift wires along the entire route. The bucket trucks also assisted with tree limbs, overhead signs, and traffic signals. The Emmert International team was able to transport the components to Brownsville, Texas, approximately 20 miles from the delivery site. Unfortunately, an explosion occurred on one of the test launches at the SpaceX site. The crew was instructed to stage each of the packages until further notice. 2 days later, Emmert was given the green light to deliver the components to the SpaceX site. Once at the site, Emmert navigated the transport systems around several of the process units that were active. Upon reaching the final destination, the packages were offloaded with cranes. Emmert International successfully transported the components over a 28-day period without injury or damage to equipment. Each of the packages were refurbished and are currently in use at the SpaceX launch facility in Boca Chica, Texas. Dimensions and weight. The Argonne package, 78 feet 5 inches long by 15 feet 6 inches wide by 10 feet 7 inches high. Weight, 48,079 pounds. The column package, 114 feet 6 inches long by 17 feet wide by 14 feet 3 inches high. Weight, 146,673 pounds. The PHX package, 48 feet 5 inches long by 14 feet 4 inches wide by 16 feet 4 inches high. Weight, 118,257 pounds. Characteristics: low railroad arms, significant amount of two-lane roads, 40 railroad track crossings, used bucket trucks to accommodate overhead wires, signage, and traffic signals. Planning the job. Man-hours involved, 960 man-hours. Regulatory approvals. Permits: State of Louisiana, State of Texas over-dimensional heavy hauling permitting, Bridge Department, Pavement Department, Railroad, Power Companies, Cities, and Police. Physical elements: terrain, hills, two-lane roads, sharp turns. Safety considerations: driver supervision. All operations were safely performed under Emmert International's ISO certified safety program. Throughout the transport process, radio communication between the driver, police, pilot cars, and bucket trucks were in place. Equipment use: all equipment used within factory specifications. Precautionary measures, notifications to all railroads before and during rail track crossings. Emert International identified traffic relief areas and overnight pull-out parking locations. Daily safety meetings were held to brief all Emert personnel, police, pilot cars, and bucket truck operators. Route surveys were performed for each of the 4 state-mandated reroutes to ensure clearances. Execution. Number of man-hours involved, 1,800 hours. Ingenuity. Generate an engineered lashing plan and install lashing points to meet federal motor carrier tie-down requirements. This presentation is dedicated in memory of Newton Taylor, a beloved family man, revered by customers, and highly valued by Emert International.